A very good evening to everyone. Today is TGIF. That's right. Thank God it's Friday. Weekend is just around the corner, so I'm sure everybody will be very excited for the weekend. And those who are working on the weekend, not to worry. You should have your rest period as well. Thank you for joining with me. And as usual, Kopi Big Bets. Thank you for all your supports. I've been receiving quite a number of messages as well on the different kind of topics. So we have prepared a different kind of speakers as well. So today topic it's all about women. Women talking about a little bit more in deep understanding what has happened about 100, 200 years ago versus now. And there are certain topics that we're going to debate about. So I'm going to join in the debate as well. Most of the time I host the show. Today I'm going to host and then debate as well. I have a great speakers lined up today. So we have about two additional speakers that will be joining us in the next 30 to 40 minutes time. But before going on, particularly this topic is, I think, one of the pressing issue. I think that most of us don't speak out because of stigmatization or even for the matter of people judging. Nowadays weakness is shown as a weak point for some. So what we are trying to do here is try to come out from the horse's mouth. So we're going to talk it out. So we're going to have a bit of debate. Of course, nothing is going to fly, but we're going to not to agree or not to disagree. But of course, viewers are pleased to, we welcome all the viewers to jump on board and give your comments as well. What do you think? Or you think the other way around? Or you think that, certain topics that we talk along the way is coming up? What is your thoughts? So without any further ado, I'm going to bring up my great friend, which we work more than, I think more than 5 years. We have talked in different platforms. Why don't I just bring her up and then we can have a great discussion. There you go.
Hi,
V, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you, V?
I am good too. Thank you for joining with me here at Kopi Events.
And thank you for roping me in after a long time. We're having a great double V's again. I think it's going to be a little bit different from the usual stuff.
Yes,
so
right.
I really would love to have all your comments and all you guests who's coming in, who's putting in some time to be here. Thank you so much. And thank you, Anand.
Thank you,
V.
The last time we talked was, I think, about nearly a year back, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, some time back.
Yes.
Then V, you got so hot and you got so popular with your coffee, and then I'm still drinking Milo.
Why did you have Milo? Okay, before we start, do you have a cup with you? Come on,
I have Milo. I have my Milo.
Cheers.
So cheers.
And also to the viewers. So viewers, please just joining in. Please do share the video. Please share this particular video as well, and share it to your friends and loved ones as well. So because it's going to be very interesting. Before we dive into the topic, right? I'm just going to talk a little bit of history of what we have done before, the both of us. So at least our viewers also know that they only see me hosting, but I'm sure they have seen you also on your platforms on Instagram. So me and Vanita, I think we have done a lot of talks before. We have done in the office. We have done in Fish and Co. We have done. I think in one coffee place as well. A lot of places we have talked about. Right, different topics.
Exactly. Yeah. It's quite interesting how we connected differently from another platform, from collaboration. Then we do so many talk shows. I think that was really we connected with a lot of people after that.
That's right. There you go. And also to mention, we had a very great time discussing, talking about issues which some people might feel a bit shy to talk about, or even they do not want to talk about it. But I think we are not the wisest for the people, but I think we can relate out clearly and on behalf of a lot of people around, right? What do you think about that?
I do agree with you, because we always share that we are not the masters of what we're sharing. We are the experiences and the field that we're in. We meet people, we connect with people. So the best manual, the best therapy is always the real life experiences that we share. That's the best thing.
Very true. And today's topic is because we selected this topic. I mean, me and Vanita, we always get connected over even though we don't meet, but we always get connected. So we thought this topic will be very
Always
close to the heart of many people out there. But I think at the end of the day, we are not just sitting down and wasting time and talking. That the whole idea about this is to reach out to people. So some might even thinking about it, or some might need help. So I think this might help, and if it helps, it's our blessings and our greatest gratitude we will feel. I mean, at the end of the day, it has to reach to people, and that's the whole idea about how me and Vanita, get along very well.
But today's topic is, I'm going to give you a lot of tough things. Today is not about agreeing with you, because most of the time we do agree in something. But today is like,
with me. Okay.
Today I have to disagree in certain things.
I think let's start the fire, right? So
Yeah.
this topic is based on the kind of people that contacted you. Of course, we're not going to mention any names, but of course, we're not going to mention anybody, but we're just going to base on what we know and that been discussed. So there's a lot of issues that's going on right now.
Okay.
And today's topic, it's all about women, right? And before we even dive in, V, maybe just you want to kickstart a little bit on this, why we choose this topic very quickly, so that we can just jump in.
Okay, when V approached me, Vanan approached me that, Vanita, let's do something that's related to powerful women. So I asked him, powerful women means there's a lot of things going on, right? It's a big picture, powerful women. So we both decided to talk something that connects mental wellness, not on physical wellness, not on career, not on wealth status. It's more on wealth, a matter of mind and wellness. I think this was an issue that was affecting everybody, especially during the COVID. It surfaced even more. And even during COVID time, I and Vanan connected, and we shared a lot of issues that people are facing during COVID. And one of this was the women facing this mental awareness. And what is this mental awareness? Is that the patient's level that is being triggered to the extreme, that what is happening to them. They become hallucinated, they become a different person, they become identity crisis surrounds them, and they become clueless over the years who they have become and why are they being like that. Is it that they want it, or are they being forced to, or is it there's a no way out? So mental wellness is a topic that I felt it was very, very suitable for powerful women. I think it just connects very ideally during this period and always.
And this topic is also quite a hot topic, because some will have to agree, some will have to disagree. The men will not agree. But you see, the whole point here is not about agreeing or disagreeing. It's about sharing. If it makes sense, it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. All right. So let's dive into the topic, V. Okay. So to get even to the situation, each of us, I think even later, the third speaker will be joining us. So she will be, sharing with us her thoughts and what our viewers are saying as well. Because right now I can see a few messages already coming up already. So let's talk about this, right? I mean, we discussed this, and during this COVID period, or now is post-COVID period, right? I mean, still ongoing. Or shall I put it this way, right? In a relationship, husband and wife, of course, obviously, the male and the female, male always empower woman, in that kind of situation, if a man hits a woman, all right, what is your thought?
Okay, first of all, in short, I will agree with you. A man hitting a woman is not really a topic. It's not something that I will agree. First of all, it's not something that I will digest. So, but like I said before, it is not something that is the. We look at it in the longer picture. I don't see it as just one time. I see it in the long picture. So if you tell me if it's just abusing is just a one time off, then a husband hitting a wife, it's justifiable one time. But if it becomes a consistent and
I gotta stop you here. Okay. You can do the same thing. But I'm going to let you continue with that, whatever that.
Okay.
So you say that it's okay for one time, right? But my question now I'm posting is, if you allowed one time for a male to touch a woman, abuse it by mentally, of course, mentally can be work-related stress, they shout, and that's all domestic quarrels. But if you allow the one time, and that's going to repeat, and the woman should stand up for her right and say that that's it. Or she can give a final warning. Say, one more time you're going to touch me, I'm going to walk off. I think that shouldn't be the way at all.
So this is where I wanted to finish, but you cut me off. So first of all, you have to see the pattern, right? Whether it's a one-time off or what kind of a situation that triggered it. Like, are you married, newly married? Are you in a relationship that has been over the years? And then suddenly, after all the years, he hit you. So you need to keep a watch when or what triggered that little abusiveness. Abusiveness is not a one-time thing. It comes with a pattern. It comes with a constant kind of a period. So you need to know what is an abuse and what is a one-time trigger. All this you have as a woman, we need to know. Because some women doesn't understand that just because one time a husband hit means, oh, he beat me already, you beat me already, you turned violent already. Come on. What if the same thing, a woman does that to a man? Can he goes around shouting, you beat me, she beat me up already and violent?
Okay, that topic you will talk again, all right? Because now we are only focusing on only on the woman.
Beating is fair to both, okay? Abusive means it's fair to both.
But what I feel, right, is based on the experiences that I spoke to many and the different views. I say any kind of abuse, it's not acceptable at all, not even once, all right? Of course, if you talk to few individuals, they will probably stay on because of the relationship, because of emotional values of the parents or society, and even for the fact of the kids. But in another part, she might be going through hell, even though a lot of people would think it's heaven. But what I'm saying is that if it happens, she got to stand up for her rights. In fact, we shouldn't be even talking about rights, right? There should be no reason for a male to touch a woman, even in terms of anger. And that's what my standpoint is. Because if you're going to say it's okay for first, then it's going to happen for second. I mean,
like I say, I agree with you. If there's once, there'll always be a tendency to happen again. Yeah. I know. Yeah. But like I said, you have to know what triggered it. As a woman, I always find that a man laying a hand on women, there are different scenarios. Okay, I have seen men who's doing it like not consistently, just one time, and then the wife goes berserk and started. I say, like, you don't do it often, you do it like every time. She said, no, it's just one time. I did it out of my anger, and he's so resentful for himself because of that. But he truly was remorseful. He truly wanted to show that it was just a one time, and then just because of that little hitting one time, she went berserk. Divorce. What else is like went his company, complained to his his whole reputation was gone. You understand? So what triggered it? When I asked him, because you went to the extreme from at home situation, this he did it at home, nobody's around, okay. But what the wife did, okay, someone that I know, is like make a big mess, went to complain to his parents, to his friends, to his colleagues. It's kind of like spoiled his entire reputation, and he was holding quite a reputable job. I mean, come on, if you feel that this guy has been beating you and you're doing that, is fine. But if it's just one time, what triggered it? I asked him, yeah, beating is wrong. You shouldn't have hit her. But what caused it? It is some of the resentful words that she used. Okay. So I kind of understood that this could have been resolved among them calmly, instead of her reacting unreasonably and creating a lot of havoc for him personally and his profession. This is not right, because he didn't do that to her. He just did it within the four walls, and this could have just maybe a couple of days communication. This could have been resolved. No more this such things have happened, because after all, husband and wife means communication, right? Just because one time your employer scold you, does that mean always the employer is bad? No, the employee still works, right? You're working there for money. So here is a relationship. This is a marriage. This is compromise. This is what we call a family. You need to resolve conflicts. Just because a one-time abuse, not even abuse, a one-time hitting, you define him to be abuser.
I totally got to disagree with that, because you see, woman or man doesn't matter, right? Even if the woman is going to do it, or the man is good, there shouldn't be any kind of violence. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Okay, we all know what happened 100 or 200 years back for women, right? There always been slavery. It's always been, kitchen, women's.
Yeah.
But right now it's different, right?
Yes.
Why am I saying that is because I spoke to a few individuals when we posted these posters, right? The talk is coming. Some said if he ever die, of course, I'm happily married, so and so forth, right? They said, my husband never even touched me. If he touches me, I'm going off. That's it. There's no respect. There's no love. When there's a violence, I'm just walking off. And he knows he never does that. Maybe for some women, they might want to say it's a fire shot. I give you a final warning. Because see, in a marriage, there isn't any like a first verbal warning, a written warning, and then we call it PIP, performance improvement plan. If you don't, I'm going to divorce. No, there's no such thing. So what is comfortable for you might not be comfortable for some. But some might already going through this emotional stress because they are worried about the society. They're worried about what the kids might go through, and they suffer in silence. But that suffering in silence will lead to anxiety and depression and eventually to something we don't want to mention here. But they should be able to make the decision then and then. It's like a fire shot. You shouldn't be touching at all. What I'm saying is no kind of abuse is totally agreeable. Not at all.
Okay, okay. In this case, where you are talking about a long term, okay, you're talking about it's a abuse that has been going for a long term. Okay, and then this woman, okay, and has been tolerating them and has been living with it. Then something needs to be done. It's no more the guy's fault. I'm not support. In this case, I agree with you because there is a pattern here. This has been going on for a certain period of time. It's been a repeated process because he's been taking it for granted. So this is where I want ladies to wake up and be sensible, to be very practical and sense that this is an abuse going on. Okay, it could be verbal, it could be physical. All right, even verbal abuse is also just as bad as physical. That I have to agree. All right. So some people might think that only physical. No. Verbal abuse, it's worse, even worse, because tongue is the sharpest weapon. So to be very honest with you, if you have find that this has been going on constantly a pattern, then please, you have to do something about it. This one, Vanan, I have to agree that we cannot keep quiet. There is no such thing as being a patient for a long-term abuse. But if it is just one-time hit, then you need to patiently find a solution to resolve it. All right. Don't just jump off the gut and scream and make a big issue, because it could be years of marriage. It could be years of hard work of building up a relationship. You might have kids. You might have a lot of other relationships going on. Do you think just one-time hitting will spoil the entire relationship? This is my point here. So for ladies, if you think carefully, you should be able to differentiate. Okay.
We have a viewer here who have mentioned, she commented that any kind of abuse in any form, no matter the frequency, is not okay. It's not acceptable. If it happened once, it may reoccur in other forms instead of the former action done. Okay, so probably it's a pattern, right? Before you go on, Vanita, I'm going to say that, right? Women should not be babysitting men at all, right? Men should not be babysitting, all right? Or changing a character, or he's an anger issue, regardless whatever the matter is, all right? If it's just imagine a husband comes back home and then abuses the wife by words, all right? It can be words. All kind of words comes out, right?
Okay.
So can you imagine that is also verbally abusing over a period of time? So where she draws a line, where she tried to change him, but she's not changing. And then what next? I throw back to you again. What next?
Okay. So a lot of things comes into, see, a man thinks differently, a woman thinks differently. I'm talking in terms of women's point. We look at outside the box. We look at outside our brain, because as a woman, okay, whether it's a love marriage or arranged marriage, we look into what society thinks, what the child thinks, what her family thinks. So here, before all that happens, I would suggest ladies to think for themselves first, because society is not there to protect you. Just like that, your family is not going to, because eventually the abuse and whether it's physical or verbal abuse, you are the one who's suffering it. Nobody else hears it. Nobody else feels it. You are the one suffering. So my point here is that you need to cut it while you are in the heated moment, because a lot of times men forget what they have done. They might just keep doing because they don't realize there was a mistake. because the ego can come the way. They do not think that it's a mistake. First of all, because you kept quiet the first time, okay. Second time you got quiet, and then you say it's fine because he loves me in other ways, Third time you do that, fourth time, then fifth time you feel that, hey, it's enough. But then he will be like, well, what happened? Why do you suddenly, throwing the wet towel and telling me that you don't want this marriage, you don't want to work out with this relationship? So if you feel that certain things needs to be communicated, do it fast and do it as soon as possible. Because Vanan, many times couples clean it under the carpet over the years of marriage. Okay, they do not bring up. Communication fails. Communication stops after a period of time.
But not the way you mentioned here, it seems like the woman have to babysit the man. Oh, you shouldn't be doing this. Oh, you shouldn't hit me. You shouldn't abuse. Isn't it a nature of an adult not to use abuse, whether is it physical or verbal?
Well, that's why I said different people comes from different background. We need to see whether it's beating and abuse for some people. Because just because of hitting a lady for them is abuse, if they are brought up in such a way, then they will see it as an abuse. If they feel that the family, because a lot of times it comes from a family's upbringing, it comes from growing up with surrounding, the machoism, the egoism. So people feel that, hey, she, like a man, most of the time feels she's my wife. Today I'll hit her, tomorrow I'll hug her. That's the feeling, Who else can I hit? She's my wife. It's like, that kind of the feelings they give it, So this is the time. So we want people to understand whether she's your wife or not. She was somebody else's daughter first. She's somebody else, a friend first. She's still a human being. Will the man accept if the woman hit him once? Will the man accept? No, right? So we have to understand
that there shouldn't be any kind of violences. That's what I'm trying to say, right?
Yes.
I mean, there must be a line drawn, right? That, anything, sit down and discuss. I mean, there happens sometimes, you push me, I push you. That's, I think that's okay. But anything that comes as a physical abuse or mental abuse over a period of time, that will lead to mental illnesses eventually. That's what I'm trying to
try to say. Let me ask you, a threshold, everybody's threshold is very different. Mental wellness is when we are pushed to the extreme. So when is the extreme? Every woman has a different threshold.
So what I'm saying is, when it happened, it had to be a full stop. It's not a comma.
Exactly. That's why I say the woman has to find whether she wants to put a ... question mark, or whether she wants to put a dot. Because if you just put an exclamation mark, what is the next? What is the thing that's stopping her? Is it the fear? Is it societal factors, or is it her deep root of family issues, deep culture? Is it, especially in our community, a lot of Asian believe that they have to stick through the husband through thick and thin. I mean, Vanan, come on. We are come from an Asian family. We don't take. Let's face the fact, we cannot take divorce as very lightly as other people. Okay, it might sound common, but it is not the common thing. We have to go through a lot of things. I know marriage is just paperwork, it's just a signing, but there is a lot of hard work involved in that process. So whether we want to put a threshold or stop or whatever it is, you need to think twice. You need to think thrice whether what has caused you the mental state. Is it just your fault?
But I still think there's no time to think about it. The way I look at it, there's no time to think about it, because it is a matter of that woman, right? Whatever she's going through, only she knows it, right? But because of certain circumstances around her, she's been forced to make the decision to walk off from the relationship. If it's a toxic relationship, she should walk off, because by staying there, she's also...
Have she tried to do the talking, first of all?
Sorry?
Have she tried to salvage? Did she try to communicate out?
Like what you say, there can be a lot of scenarios, but what we are trying to say in common here, or I'm saying is, there shouldn't be any abuse, any form of abuse. If it's a mental abuse,
aren't we going, in that case, aren't we going to have a lot of divorce cases up, Vanan?
If it has to, then it has to.
So where is the problem? The root problem is that is it that we are...
It's very simple, right? I mean, if it's going to happen, right? I mean, probably the husband might have certain pressure at work. He come back and he take it on to the wife, all right? But the wife is not a punching bag, for God's sake. That's bullshit.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Right? He comes in, he just because of the stress, so he needs to manage it. Likewise, the woman also might have a stress at work, because nowadays women are not just in the kitchen cooking. They are also working in high corporate levels, and they are different levels, and they are entrepreneurs and businesswomen. So what I'm saying is that making a woman fall on a man's feet for forgiveness of any kind of physical or mental or verbal, I will say it's a no. But I'm going to bring up my third speaker up. We got a few questions already coming up. Drink some
All
water,
right.
because we're going to debate more about it. So, viewers, please keep on coming up with your questions. Tell us whether you agree or disagree. Doesn't matter at all, because what we want to have is a good discussion. We even will be going into topics a little sensitive, but we're going to talk it in a way like sexual relationships and forcing and kind of stuff. That's going to come up along the way. But let me bring up our third speaker up. Where is she? Hello there.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi, Zia.
Good. Hi.
Zia is
Thank
an
you.
alpha woman.
Thank you for joining us. I mean, we're already having a debate here, so we thought I'd
Yes.
bring you up before things start flying around in the computer.
Yes, I have been listening.
Okay. So, Zia, maybe you want to do a quick introduction about yourself, maybe about 30 to 40 seconds before we go with the heat, because we don't want the heat to die off. Let's go. Your quick introduction.
Okay. I'm 49 this year. I was from once pageant before, Singaporean, and I've known her for 2 years? Almost 2 years now. Yeah. And Vanita knows I'm an alpha female.
Okay.
I will never allow a man.
Okay. So that's good. Vanita, you are
One, you have someone with you right now.
Okay, yeah, it's going to be very simple. I just got a viewer here sent a message. Is a slap acceptable? I would love to hear your constructive battle and views. Please. What do you think? Is a slap acceptable?
No. When we fight, it's a fight among tongues. Words fly out. So if you want to defend yourself, defend with facts, defend with words. You throw insult, I throw back insult. But I don't throw a punch at my husband or another man. And neither should he do it to me. I think that is very wrong. You must remember one thing. A man's strength and a woman's strength is very different. A woman's strength can never be like a man's strength. The way he slaps a woman, the hit, the impact is different from us women slapping a man. That is my view. So
okay, I like that. I definitely like that. But okay, let's put a scenario right now, right? Because Vanita and I have a different views, right? She's saying she's trying to, bring down the divorce rate, but I'm trying to increase it. No, it's not about that. What I'm trying to say is there shouldn't be any kind of abuses. But in the moment, all right, when the husband comes back home, stressful day, something happened, and he it happened after 7 years or 8 years. Will there still be acceptable?
No. Of course it's not acceptable. Never. It's never acceptable. Any form of abuse.
So what should a woman do at that point of time?
Duck.
Or slap back?
No, duck. She's going to slap you, duck.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I have to learn martial arts from you.
Actually, I don't know martial arts. No, but I think if it was to happen to me, right, I would glare. I mean, I would just stare and like signal like don't go there.
Zia, you have grown up with a background which is strong. Okay, your background, where you came from, but not all women are blessed with your background. Not everybody has a comfortable zone like you. You must. We are speaking for all kinds of women here. We can't just be speaking for certain kind of people.
Yeah, but
I agree with you. We cannot allow, but we cannot judge a man hitting her just once. That means the guy is in fault. What triggers? Sometimes we women also are very bad. We also trigger them.
Yes, I have seen my ex-sister-in-law having a fight with my brother.
Okay.
And she really triggered him. Really triggered him.
Okay.
And I felt it. My brother raised his hand. to
Correct.
slap her.
This was the extreme. We have to see the coin, the both sides of a coin.
Yeah,
Whether
but-
in this case, the slap was needed or not to shut her up.
Yeah,
Because
but as
sometimes
a-
you're hurting her. Sometimes you could be hurting him. His ego, you're hurting him
No,
with the
she-
extreme.
In this case, in this scenario, she was purposely instigating him. Okay, I can see that. Yeah. And actually, when he was about to hit her, I hugged my brother because I was in front. I hugged my brother and I said, please don't hit her. It's not worth it.
But before we, I mean, ladies, all right. I mean, of course, I'm not citing the male or female, but why is that kind of an abuse? Or we not even should go to why there should be a power of hitting? We should be seen as equal, right? I mean, woman has its power. We shouldn't be saying woman's right or we say man's right. No, everybody have their rights. But why is this moment coming? Is it because the male is overpowered because of our size, because of our hormones, and trying to
No,
impose?
because it's not that he is overpowered, but he has been insulted and his ego has been triggered.
Yes,
So-
there's a trigger point. Everybody has a trigger point.
Right? But I think in any situation, any human being must manage the anger. Whether it is your father beating you, your mother beating you, you must manage that anger. You can always hit the wall. You can always hit your cupboard. Why must you hit your wife?
Painful, is it? That's why they don't want to hit the wall.
Yes, when you hit the wall, you know how painful it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the way I look at it. There's so many other things for you to hit, and when
So-
your anger, you can
So,
throw the-
Zia, just one time a guy hits a woman. Do you call that an abuse? Do you overreact to it, or do you feel that this can be solved and you do not let it occur?
you don't allow it to occur ever.
Because
Because-
it's just one time, but you do not let it allow it to break up a marriage immediately, right? Do not let her to decide that this is it. You know.
I think if it happens to me, I will really, really consider a question mark, because it doesn't matter whether it happens on your first year of marriage or 7th year of marriage or 21st year of marriage. I think everything can be managed, and he should not use force on you. He should never. Yeah. I think as two adults, you must be able to calm down. Like they say, my brother used to ask me, why did I marry my husband? Because I'm such an extrovert and my husband is such an introvert. So I told him, so that when the house is on fire, either one of us will notice.
You know, adding to that, I'm going to go a little bit of changing gear to a different level, right? Any father with a daughter, for the matter of fact, they provide a lot of love, they provide a lot of concern. For a little girl, even if she grow up to a big woman, the father is always the first hero, right? The father is always protect the woman. I mean, protect a daughter regardless. In kind of discipline, he might have hit her or might not, But what I'm saying is, he grew up his daughter to a certain level, and she got married to someone, and all he come to know is someone, abuses her, whether physically or mentally. And I think that's not right at all, right? And
Of
this
course.
same question that I posted to someone earlier today, and she said, my dad said, if ever that happens, the door is open, you are coming to my house immediately. And some women are not making the decision because of certain circumstances. We can understand that. We're not trying to say that, oh, you should go. But if that happens and you think that you want to give a chance, we shouldn't be. You got to be straight to the point that if ever happens one more time, I'm going to give you a tight slap and I'm walking off. There shouldn't be any kind of weaknesses versus strength in a relationship. It may happen. You forgive and say, that's it. Let's forget it. One more time, I am freaking off from this place. No more bullshit.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, this is not happening to a lot of women because of situations, financial situation, society situations, personal commitment situations, and so on and so forth. Because of that, the anxiety and leads to different things. But of course, we're not going to go there. But what I'm trying to say is that shouldn't be the case. They should be standing up for their rights. And that's what I'm stressing that, and I'm not changing my decision on that.
Yes,
Right.
I think every woman should.
Come on, Namita.
No, you see, I'm talking in just not one person that I've known. And I've known ladies who are staying committed to a relationship because they know that they have to look into different angles in a marriage. Okay, I'm not talking about these are all old timers. Even now, okay, they are all very well educated women, and they're looking at it in different perspectives. First of all, children. Okay, they look at it as a family, societal pressures, so many things. Because you see, what happens is that an abuse can become only an abuse when you allow it. Okay, but the moment a woman shares and say that no, you stop it, it doesn't become an abuse. Then it becomes like a, how should I say, you kind of stop it. See, there is from the day just the first time I'm been sharing right now, there should be a drawing line. A girl should be able to understand the pattern of the abuse. For example, I know of ladies where they say the husband just abuses her, okay, not physically, but verbally, but he's extremely a wonderful father, a wonderful son, a wonderful friend to others. She only sees him as the connection for both of them has died off. They are no longer a couple they used to be, but he is always verbally abusing her. But she's living with it happily because she's going on with her life. She's happy with whatever is going on with her life. She's just not bothered. Though at times, all these things hurts her. It's like, why the man that I love is now hurting me so much? But again, at the other side of the coin, he is a great father to the kids. Okay? There is no complaint. She say he's a gem of a man. There is no complaint from his parents, from her, even her own parents say he's a fantastic husband that you've got. Her friends envy her. Okay? So everybody envies, wow, you have such an amazing husband. But deep down, she knows that this is not the husband everybody perceives her. And she's living with it happily. Why? I mean, do you think in this scenario, would she go through all the turmoil of going through the divorce? Because she will then get a lot of feedback. The child will say, Mommy, Appa is so good, or Daddy is so good. Why do you need to go through all this thing? Husband's parents will come and say, what are you doing? Are you stupid girl? Why you divorce such a man? This kind of society you can never find. You get? And then she will say,
you see, Vanita, society will talk anyway, whether you are doing something
exactly.
or not doing something.
I know.
Or even if you are
She's hearing that.
Society will talk about it.
Hearing that.
Yeah, but if we focus so much on the society, we can never move away. But I understand everybody have a different views. But before you girls continue, I'm going to read out a lot of messages that's coming. All right.
Okay.
We're saying that abuse is abuse. Abuse should not be allowed. Okay. Yes, I agree. What agreed and triggered it? No abuse at all. Abuse towards any gender is wrong, physically, emotionally, or mentally. And again, I think Tavania has been actively participating. She said that walking out is the best way to save the kids. Kids learn, do what they see and experience. Never use the kids as an excuse to stay in an abusive relationship.
That I totally agree. I mean, Vanan, if you knew that your mother has been suffering for over 25 years because your father has been emotionally abusing her, would you respect your mother the same?
Of course. What you see, what you manifest, or what you think about it, and you're actually acting towards it, because it's like a visual. What you see, you're actually remembering the pattern, right? You're focusing that image in yourself, and eventually you will do it.
I think children are by far more intelligent than we ever expect. Even if today they don't understand why you had to go through that, you had to go your separate ways, but eventually when they grow up and they get married, they will understand and they'll forgive you. Because if that's my mother, I will never allow my mother to be abused like that. Never. So I think
coming back to this child thingy.
Anita is not happy. She's
no. Listen to me. I've never said I'm not happy. I'm just pointing to the point of view there. You see, I can give you one example. Okay, my personal experience. Okay, when I was I think about 8 or 9, I remember seeing my dad slapping my mom. I've never seen him do that. So I was like shocked and I cried. I said, no, mommy, why did he? At that age, I don't know what's called abuse because I've never seen my dad be that. And then my mom cried the whole night. She was hugging me and I cried with her. I said, why did daddy beat mommy. But as I grew up, and I saw my girlfriend being beaten up by her boyfriend, I went and speak to my daddy. I said, Daddy, do you know my girlfriend, her boyfriend is beating up, And then I said, this, I shared with him my personal, and I cried and told him, I remember you hitting my mom at that moment. And he said, so sorry. He was very remorseful. At that one was like, he was like in his 30s, I believe. And he said, Vanita, you have to know. I know he said his mistake and he has never done it, first and the last. So he told me what triggered him. First of all, he was the sole breadwinner for the family. And he had to drink a little bit more that day, because to get some kind of financial help from others, he had to drink and entertain with people. And the moment he came home, he bought some noodles for the family to eat, especially for my mother, who has been working the whole day at home. So he gave it to her, and she started to become very fiery and angry and say, oh, you drink again, you get, you smell a beer, you come home drunk, and blah, blah, blah. She started her Indian drama. My mother is always the drama shout a lot. The entire world can hear. And my father is like, I mean, keep your quiet, children are sleeping, don't make noise. Tomorrow talk. No, my mother just keep, no, go drink, But to make my mother shout, slap her. Because you know what my mother did before that? She took the meat and she threw it into the dustbin. Isn't that a trigger? So my father said that was a moment, he said it was not right, still not right, but he felt he was drunk, his judgment was gone. He felt that she did not appreciate him at that moment. But they survived 52 years of marriage. My mother said he's not an abuser. You see, he was not an abuser. He take care of the family. He take care of the needs. He made sure that she lives like a queen. She never had to complain that she never had anything that she feel. But she knew how to shut up after that. She knew how to shut up, because before that, everything gets away. So as a woman, so I understood. My father explained that time, see the pattern of an abuse. So he told me, in this case, my girlfriend's abuse was wrong, because the boyfriend's already starting to abuse her. First of all, being possessive about her, being jealous about her friendship, being calculative about the money she's spending. So this becomes like a pattern. So when I told, this is where she should be careful, because this will lead up to be even worse, because this is a big crucial thing. Starts from a girlfriend, then becomes a wife. This will be a problem for her, because she will grow up to hate herself. At 16 years old girl being beaten up by a boyfriend, it's not a small thing. It's terrible. But she was, because you know what the boyfriend does? I love you, my sweetheart. Next day, a lot of flowers. So what my point is here, one time hit off, it's not an abuse. We just have to see the other side of the coin. I'm also supporting our manhood, okay? I can't just let go the men. I don't men, okay? I do men of substance, okay? And I know how many men deserve to be taken care.
I got to stop. Vanita. I said, whether is it one time or is it a half time? When you come into a relationship, we are not marriage counselors, right? But we are not. Experiences. We know that people we talk to, then sometimes we do give our best advices. There's a lot of situations that go around in a relationship. But based on our gathering of the three of us here, right? Even in a relationship, there must be mutual understanding. If one party is angry, the one party should just walk off. Come back, cool down, because in the moment of anger, you will never know what you're going to say, or you're going to throw, or you're going to be. So walk away. I think that's the best solution. But we're not talking about solution right now. We are talking about the problem first, all right? So I have, one of the viewers, okay, I stayed on 20 years and regretted listening to people who say that it will stop and it will change. I am left. I am free and I'm liberated. I am thriving now. So you can see that, people who go through a tremendous 25 years of issues thinking that things will change. But what I'm trying to say earlier on, to Vanita, is that women are not, women, many roles they play, many roles. Men also play many roles. But what I'm trying to say, if you look at a woman's character, they are supposed to be, the calm type, taking care of the family. So they do multitasking, where men, I got to agree that sometimes multitasking might not be best.
Men fails in multitasking.
They do, but not everybody. But sometimes it's good. We try our best, right? I got to talk to my man, people also. But the point here I'm trying to say is there should be a mutual understanding, mutual respect, and give and take. That sort of things coming up. But nowadays the situation is different. Wife is working hard, husband is not working hard. Husband is working hard, wife is no. We can't say that, right? I mean, it's a family. That is up to them how they want to decide it, how they want to move it. But now when you talk about this, I'm changing gear to the third gear right now, because second gear, if you do too much, the engine will burn out, right? We are just talking about abuse. How about we come into a little bit more? The woman is not happy with the man for some reason, but the man pushes himself towards her on a sexual relationship. Is that considered abuse?
Of course. This one I cannot. I'll agree with you. This one is cannot. Body is something sacred. No, something is like you share.
But you can say you're my wife. Why not?
Cannot. Hello. This is something that you connect, right? Sex is something that's so momentum of emotion. It's not just a lust period, right? You connected someone so physically, especially when you're resentful to somebody and you went through an abuse, whether it's physical or verbal abuse. How can you reach an orgasm?
You know why? Okay, because there must be something more to it. But of course, like I said, we are not counselors. We are not here to counsel. We are just here to talk and discuss. But you see, this is also can be considered. But if the woman is enduring that, all right. If there's no happiness, there's no love. When there's no love, there's no happiness. It's always like that. It's always like a circle.
I think for any man who forces himself on another woman and it's not consensual on the other party, it's totally wrong.
It's a rape, right?
It's a
rape, right?
It doesn't matter whether she's your wife or not. It's without my consent.
Yeah.
Right? So
it's a rape, lah. Consider not to ask any questions.
Assault, rape, whatever you call it, it's not without my consent.
And girls, if you're finding ways to get out from your marriage because of this, use this as an excuse. Immediately can get it ready. Don't ask so much already. Don't ask so much. Just go and get fun. This is good reason.
But now Vanita is talking the other way around.
Because physically you cannot force.
Why are you not talking about? Why you
because
said straight away?
Okay, you see, you haven't even solved the first problem. Okay, you haven't even solved the abuse that was going on. Why are you going to go to the bed, lah? You think every problem
no, because it's related to that. Because you see, in a relationship, a woman will never disagree to the husband for some reason that might have happened, right? There must be a reason, unless there's no love in it and they're just living for the sake of
faking it. Oh, come on. Then women are living in the world of fantasy. Just because she gives in to the husband is going to love her back and is not going to abuse her.
Many scenarios. But what I'm asking you, Anita, is why don't you want to give first chance? Okay.
What chance?
Chance. Okay, first time you're done. Okay, then she talk again. Why you straight away say no? It's straight away a rape, or straight away it's a not agreeable. Why do you say
no?
That?
First of all, if the abuse is whatever problem that they are going through is resolved, then of course he will not force on her, right? She'll be happy to have him on her. That's not called force already. In this scenario, it becomes force on her is because she has unresolved matters in her heart. So that becomes a resentful session with him. It's only you see, a woman finds it a painful session with him when she has unresolved feelings, when she has so much of hatred or resentful moments with him. It's because she has built up of a lot of feelings, okay? But if she has gone calm and this calmness, maybe after all the turbulences, one fight, and this guy comes back and say, I'm sorry, I will not do it again. And he's doing it with her. That's perfectly fine. And she accepts it, right? But if it has been going through a big abuse and nothing has been resolved, then of course, getting him forcing on her is not right.
Yeah.
This is not right. Absolutely cannot.
If you look below. So there's we have some information here from 2020. Is legally wrong to have forcible sex with a legal married partner. Sex without consent is considered rape within a marriage. So yes, ladies out there who hear this, right? It is.
Yes.
But there must be more to it, right? There's more to it because of certain unhappiness. Everything can't happen for a reason, okay? But we also have another viewer. He said if a woman decided to walk off It's never just a one time only. It's always a build up. The
Yes.
case you mentioned might just use this one time to walk off as an excuse. Right? So what we are looking here, if it
It's
happens
a build up.
yeah,
It's a once, it's not. It's a
Yeah.
build up. Once you, as I say, there is a different way of approaching a problem. Everybody's problem is different, Vanan.
Yeah.
We are not saying that just one time the problem is similar to every household, every couple. So each problem surfaces differently for each of us. We are looking at it as very general. We are looking at it as a term abuse. We're looking at it as a term called husband beating up. But there is many things that goes on in a relationship, right? Just like how a marriage takes place, you have to book an event manager, you have to book a bridal, you have to book your cameraman. So same thing when it comes to an abuse of marriage, there should be different angles to look at it. I'm not telling you that a patience should not be there. Okay, a patience can be tolerated to a certain level, but you need to see whether you want to do that. You want to push it, your patience to another level. A woman's patience is always being triggered. Okay, when it comes to a boiling point, then she's like a Kali. Okay, if not, she's a different version. Okay, so
Vanita
please,
and her Kali.
yeah, okay, trust me.
But not convincing, Vanessa. It's not convincing.
Why?
I mean, why I say that is because when I ask my wife,
I don't know, like maybe your clients all are very terrible cases.
No. I asked this to my wife, right?
Yeah.
What happens if I done that? She said she will just walk off. So you see, what I'm trying to say is that there shouldn't be any.
That means you must not be a very loving husband. One time only your wife go.
Don't get me into trouble now.
One time only she just pass off. Then what happened to the Vanan, the sweet Vanan she lived all these years? Oh.
But we all know during this pandemic there's been a lot of domestic violences has happened, right? Because of stress. I mean, we all go through this corona thingy, COVID-19 in a very different way that we never handled before. But sometimes it's stress related, all right? But again, right, I said, for that particular husband, for the family, he might go to work, come back very stressful for that particular day. And then he showed off. He tried to show off. But I think it's the wife, not job, to understand that he's stressed. Okay, let's not have any conversation. I just go, I think that must be a correlative, right? When the husband notices that the wife is stressed or in a very bad mood, then I think he should, try to go around it or just stay calm. I think at that point of time. But what happens if he's constantly coming on an everyday basis, every day, literally Monday to Friday, because of high level stress job, and then using all kind of vulgar words on the wife and kind of so when is the toleration? So when should she say, okay, that's it? Is it on the first day when she say it, on the third day, or fifth day, or seventh day? Vanita, come on, I'm posting it to you. What is the toleration?
What is the tolerance level in this case?
Yeah. What do you think? 7 days after, then you take action, or the first day already you take action? So what is that?
Not for one time. You have to take first time. I will see what triggered it, and then I'll give maybe see second time, third time, maybe second time or third time what happened. I will not take action within one time because, like I said, right, we have to see what is the one time that triggered. If it is coming a repeated, then I will take the necessary actions.
So you think we can't just first warning, second warning, third warning?
No, just one time there should be, because if the you have to know your relationship that you'll be leaving. For example, you have a husband who has been always coming and telling you his problems, he's been stressed, and suddenly this time he didn't come home. He vented his anger. You know this is different from his usual pattern. Are you going to, just because this time he's become abusive, and you say shut up, or then he hit you by like this, and then you're going to scream at it? Because you know that normally he's the type of person who comes home, plays with the kids, even phones you and asks you how's your day. But this time is different. So you need to see and analyze what triggered him that behavior for that particular day. Instead of just jumping off the gut, say, oh, why? What's happened? It's like, oh, you must be seeing another woman. Or do you think I'm your punching bag? Or, all kinds of things you assume. Wait, talk, look at it at the other side. Okay, fine. Don't calm down first and see what triggered him. Next day, ask him. If next day also he's doing it, fine. Then you need to find something to stop this.
Like how?
One time. Like how? Okay, you need to sit down and take a decision and say, hey, this thing cannot go off. If you want to do the next thing, I have to make a report, or I have to call. You need to speak to somebody. If you have somebody who can speak to, call the person. If you call a helpline, or you tell him. If not, I have to report to your parents or whatever that can make him wake up and say, hey, what you're doing is wrong. Or tell to the kids that, because he might be embarrassed or he might be affected by somebody that he knows that he's doing things wrong. Because everything can be, if you don't communicate out in the right way, that's where the whole problem starts, Vanan. Communication is the whole damn thing. And ego is another thing, because some men don't like to share things with wife. Some woman also finds that they don't like to share things with the husband. So always remember, there's a thing. If communication fails, then go ahead with whatever actions is needed. Because after that, there's nothing to communicate. It's all actions. It's all actions.
Okay, I have a viewer that she wants to come on board, so I'm not sure. I'm just thinking. So you girls keep on talking about it because you want to discuss and get into the topic. So okay, so
hit it up.
So Vanita saying that first time is okay, then second time we talk about it, then third time go for help and kind of stuff.
Okay, Manan, just ask you something. Just because one time you hit your child, does that mean you're an abused father or an abused mother?
Child is different than
No. It's human being. Abuse is still an abuse, because it's still being a child is also abuse.
We cannot relate that as an abuse. That can be a discipline.
Yeah.
But then again, any form of verbal or even physical towards a child, it's also considered a crime or abuse. Right? Agree. But to a certain discipline action, if it's not everyday basis, once off to let the child know that you are serious about it.
So in this case,
is fine.
So maybe the husband want to discipline the wife one time lah.
No, that's not
right. It's
partners. How can you do that? No.
Listen, guys. One time you have to understand here the problem here. If you cannot judge a book just because of one time you read it, just first page you find it's not nice, you have an issue, you go and say the entire marriage is not going to work out. You need to know and analyze it.
I'm not saying that on the first slap, tomorrow you go and divorce him. I'm just saying that it's just not an option at all. You just shouldn't be doing
Divorce is not the option. It is one of the options.
That's right.
It is not
you can always counsel, but any form of abuse, whether it's to begin with, is just totally unacceptable. Whether he's drunk, even worse when he's drunk.
Drunk is worse.
People use that as an excuse. Oh, I'm so sorry, I was drunk, so I just have to come home and slap your face. I don't think that's right. So,
I also getting my friends message me.
Thank God all my friends are sleeping.
This topic is going getting hot. I mean, the whole idea of this discussion is to understand where or how we should behave. But I think as an adult, violence, it should not be tolerated at all. And I want to bring it back to you ladies, because we all know what has happened in 100 or 200 years ago, right? Because of these different genders, and I don't want to mention that. It's even discussing to mention that. But we have come to a different era, day and age. It is totally different. Both male and female are working, in a certain level with different, there shouldn't be any differences. That's what I'm trying to say. There shouldn't be any differences. But if one is showing overpowerment towards another one, which I feel that they are showing the weaknesses, and that shouldn't be allowed at all. If that ever happens, she got to stand in a position and say that this is your final warning, all right? If you do it one more time, then you will see what will happen.
Yes, this one I agree. If it is done once,
she must be prepared to make the decision. But if
she must be prepared to say it. She must be
Yeah.
prepared to say it. Yes, I agree with that.
Not only say it, but to take action. A lot of women stay in the marriage for the longest time, like you said, for the children, for this, for that. She's very afraid to take the first step towards going out or coming out, because probably no support from family. Everybody says otherwise. But how about her? So how do you manage that? I think
Okay, you watch it.
Banan is having a
Okay, so I got a viewer want to come up. That's okay. She said she will be very emotional, and if she come and talk about it. So no. Okay, so we have another message that this is getting interesting. All right, Tamania said, "I disagree with he being a great husband or great father. He's great caretaker, but he is an emotional trigger bunny, bunny, right? Who can't handle the difficult and pressing the situation. Well, the same man is the same situation, but it's with his mom, colleagues, or his boss. Will he rise? Which is correct, right? Why do you want to come back home and then show your power? I think she got a point there. Super point, right? Why you don't want to show it to your colleagues or don't want to show it to your boss? Because you know you'll get fired. You come back home, you say that, she will just keep quiet. Is that what it is? You will know that you can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, a man's triggers, right? The punching bag always comes to the family, right? He shouts at the kids, not just wife. Sometimes that we have seen even partners who are husbands who even comes home and shout at the kids. Okay, I've seen ladies who even says, that's the end of their marriage when the moment the husband can even lay hands on the kid. He didn't even lay hands on her. The moment she saw the husband laying hands on the kids, she took the action. So, oh, my kids, she's protective over the kids. So there are this kind of scenarios where the husband never even hits her. Just one time scolded and heated.
But I think as a mother, she has every right to protect her children. Hey,
Exactly.
Come on, that thing came out from her, you know what, not his. So I think you as a mother or us even have more right to slap our own children rather than like I said, a man's strength is always stronger than a woman. I mean, if we were to smack our child, it will never be the same as our husband smacking our child. The strength is just different, and the pain.
It's very different.
Yeah, it's very different. So
I totally from day one, I'm telling you right now, when I started out this topic, I'm against violence, but you have to know what is a violence and abuse, right? It has to be a pattern. If you just triggered because of one time, but if that one time is not stopped, you don't know how to put a stop, that's where the problem starts.
But Martha, you said a pattern. A pattern means time. A time means equivalent to duration. So what is a pattern? So she have to suffer for 1 week because she decided? No.
Why must it be 1 week? It could be like if you see a pattern every day, if he's coming home and showing this. Okay, if for example, you're married for 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 20 years. After 20 years, he's behaving like that. What happened? What happened? 20 years later, you are in your 50s and 60s. That time a husband come and hit you. Are you going to ask him what happened? Don't you want to question him?
He found one woman in Batam lah.
Maybe whatever. He found one young girl lah, maybe.
But she got to be on what I'm trying to say is woman should not be standing for right. She already have the rights.
Yes.
So the moment she look, automatically whoever is doing that will have to tone down. That's what I'm trying to say. They should not be giving in for this matter at all. Not even half, not even one time, not even a pattern. That's what I'm trying to say. If he try to use some kind of violence towards a wife, whatever the regardless, just because he married or whatever, she must give that kind of look that he will automatically tone down.
Exactly. He has to put a firm stand. But what is the firm stand? Where is she going to get the fear? Where is she going to get that firm stand? She needs to get support. Who is the kind of support she's getting? We always need to know a lady. Sometimes a lady fears a lot of reasons, Vanan. You have to understand who is going to support her. There's always, but women out there, you must understand you are your best support. Nobody else is the best support. If you can out there today, you can handle a childbirth. If you can handle a household, you can handle your workplace. Why can't you handle this person? No. And if you think that if you don't know how to handle this, then I don't know. You are letting the pattern come through.
No, I think that boils down to the woman understanding the value, her value in herself. A lot of women, we undervalue ourselves. We feel that, we are not good enough. We are like this. It's my fault,
Yeah.
But I think, so I mean, at the end of the day, it becomes, the woman has to know her stand. She has to understand her value, and she must have dignity. And if you don't have all these, then you'll become that person that says, I'm doing this for my child. What will my child do if I get divorced and he won't be with his father, and I really want to keep this family sacred, blah, 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 blah. So I think, like you said, but us being women, we are very strong. We are very strong, even without having a man, because my father ever said to me that it was very difficult for him to raise me without my mother, because my mother passed on. He said, anytime if a man dies, the woman can take care of 10 children. But for one man to raise 10 children on his own without his wife is a different matter altogether. Yeah.
I totally agree.
So now the only thing right now is we have a lot of females are messaging us. All right. But unfortunately, there's no
Men all scared to run away already, Madan.
Yeah, but guys,
Men all suddenly.
we are not putting any guys down, but I think at this point we are just looking at certain issues that has been came to our ears, and we are trying to share this. I mean, every one of us experience. I mean, so and so forth. Right? I mean, whenever there's an issue, we try to solve it. I mean, we are not expert, but within families, we talk about. It will be interesting if some men actually message as well, so that we have more to talk, because right now it's all female.
Hey, I support some men lah. Some men come and say your point also lah.
Yeah. Anita supported
actually, the analogy of a man's strength is stronger than a woman actually came from my husband. He himself told me this. He says, I would never, hit you or whatever. We can always talk. So, but then, like you say, you need to understand the person that you are having a relationship with, his mental capacity, his intelligent level. Some men or some people who are not so highly there, when they can't argue, they can't argue with the wife, or they can't say back something, they get angry and they just use their hand.
Toxic lah. They all are toxic.
Yeah. So because they know they're caught, they are put into a corner in which, so it's just like a dog, press a corner. What does it? Bite the hand that feeds.
Okay.
It's a natural reaction for a man.
Okay, ladies, I give you one idea. Maybe you want to try. The moment the first time your man hits you, push them to the punishment corner of the room. Always, you've seen, right? They always have the punishment room, dark room or whatever. Push them there. No food, no sex, no nothing. Give them 1 day.
My suggestion: pack your bags and leave.
Allah, ma. Why must she leave? He cannot leave, man.
No, because it will make him think. Because if he hit you and you're still there, and you're crying, and he's just like, oh, I got power over you. If I were you, I just pack my bags and go. And then he's going like, shit, she left me. Shit, am I going to be remorseful of what I just did? I shouldn't have done that.
Why must it be? Why girls always come leave? Yeah. Why must girls always come leave? He got no parents, but he
will leave. Come on, Bonita.
He will leave. Make him leave. Make him leave. Lock the room. Lock the bedroom.
No. It's different on the other side. Come on, but then you should know. You think it's easy to push a man out of a door?
Only. You don't give him his handphone charger. You push him. He got no underpants to change. He got no shower room place. He cannot go walk off. He go to his mommy's place or whatever place. Not that. Change padlock.
At this point of time, we need men to reply. Come on, please, I'm waiting for it. I can't talk right now. But on a serious note, I think let's put it up, or maybe we can conclude this, that no violence or no abuse, no physical or mental or verbal is not allowed at all. Right? Even as a parent, even if you hit your child, it's still wrong. But if you are doing it for a discipline purpose once for the rest of the life, then I think as a parent, it's okay. Because after that, you should never ever, because the moment you look at it, it should be done. But some parents will have a different way of punishments, right? Screen time, or, corner, or you shouldn't be going out and kind of stuff. But there are different kind of punishment. But anything to do with physical and inflating pain, with stress, with emotional stress or physical stress, it is still not allowed, because we are not in this slavery of pain anymore. What back then is back then. But moving forward, I think, what will your advice be, Manita? I mean, if a woman is going through a tremendous stress, right? I need to tell you that so that your wise words, right? She's going through a tremendous stress where she wants to uphold the family, but at the same time, not a perfect one, because he uses verbal and sometimes abuses and sometimes he forces himself. So at that point of time, what do you think the woman should do? Because she's afraid to make that move. Or she talked and he's not changing.
What was the fear factor? I mean, is it because she's financially dependent on him?
Financial, can be society, can be
Okay, in this case, like this kind of case, right? She has to find the sources which can help her. For example, there are many outlets in Singapore. Definitely, she can make a call. That shouldn't take you more than more than anything else. Just a phone call. All of us have a handphone. Find a quiet moment. You need to have the first guts. You don't trust anybody else around you, right? Because the rest is not going to give you the right, right advice. Because there are a lot of people, especially your own family members. They say, "Hey, no la, tahan la, your husband, control." I mean, so let's be practical. If you think that this is really affecting you, your mental wellness, and you as a person, there are many hotlines there. They are not going to charge you for that. They're just out there to counsel you and to think differently how to handle this situation. There are many, many in Singapore. In fact, I have suggested to many of my friends, because there are people who has come down from overseas here who have been, then they started up a job here, and then their husbands here a job, and they don't know because they are new to Singapore. And I have introduced them to the counselors like these in Singapore. They went and speak, and they're living better, because sometimes the stress of coming from another country, getting into the culture, living here, they might not know where to get help, where to seek help. A little bit of counseling helps them. Okay, so in this case, there are helping lines, one. And so I think I gave you also some of those
Yep.
helplines before.
So I'm
So
going to
do share
flash
it.
that
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
I'm
There are
going to flash
many.
that
They
out
are
in a
very,
minute. And
they are
maybe
amazing counselors.
Okay.
Malay, even they have one for Malay, they have one for Chinese, they have one for Indian actually. In fact, if you have communication issues, if you feel that you need, there's a general line also we have, but they have different bodies. There's even
So
for
I'm
child
going to-
abuse, for women. Yeah.
I'm going to flash the number in a shortly so that
Okay.
people can actually reach out to the help. I mean, for help. So your whole idea in a nutshell is saying that get help from these hotlines, and then if things still doesn't change,
Okay, since they already fear of even talking to somebody, then what is it that they can go the next move to divorce? Divorce is also takes a lot of guts, right? Needs a lot of thinking, because there's a lot of procedures, and because nobody actually advise you correctly what is a divorce goes through. The paperwork, the house, the kids, the alimony, the material. There's so many things involved. So there must be somebody, right? So all these people who are in this helpline, they can guide you. Even they can guide you even if they cannot solve your marital problems, they can guide you if you really need to do the divorce. So there are people like this also without going through, because some divorces do have certain expenses first in the beginning because of the lawyers and all that stuff. Yeah, so these things you can look into it. Yeah, all these numbers. So mental well-being is something that we can always look in, because we are talking about mental well-being. So if you know what is the root of the problem, depression, stress that's been triggered because of your domestic issues, that these are some of the contexts we can connect with.
thank you for these particularly these information, Vanita, just before
No worry.
our talk started. So I think we are here right now. We did not only talk about the problems, we talk about the situations, we talk about the experiences, we also talk about real life experiences. Like I said, we all can agree, we all can disagree, but that's not the point, the whole discussion here. The whole discussion is about understanding the issues and what we should be. We shouldn't even be talking about rights in the first place, because everybody have their rights, either a male or female. But if anybody falls under that category, and to all the women out there, if you are under certain kind of pressure or certain kind of threat or violence or whatever it is, as long as inflicting pain and you are in doubt, these are all the hotline numbers that we have provided here for child abuse, for family violences, and also parenting issues and mental well-being as well. Because going through a toxic relationship also doesn't only have a certain part of unpleasantness, it also goes under mental, and then it goes through different segments. We don't want to talk about that. It's really extreme, but these are the helpful numbers. So now we're coming back to Zia's. So Vanita has said, in a nutshell, this is how we look at, and she provided the numbers, and sit down and talk and help. And if it doesn't change us, then of course we have to make the decision to protect our loved ones, especially the kids, and ourselves, to protect ourselves.
Right.
For yourself, Azia, what do you think, or what kind of encouragement, or because I know from talking to you, you are the non-nonsense, no bullshit, no crap, right? No crap, right? No such thing. There's no fire warning. There's no verbal warning. There's no termination. It's just straight away, right? But of course, you know,
That's yeah. That's yeah.
but but what will you advise to the women who are suffering in silence? They are still unsure. They are still worried that, oh, some say, oh, this is my fate and this is how I am. And they're living this stressful life. After a period, maybe after 20 years, they might realize it. But it's a years that's going off, precious life of, you know, living blissful. But it's not happening. What is your advice, or what do you think that will make women know that I need to make the choice? What will your wise advice?
I think when it comes to many years of abuse, right, you definitely have to, I mean, everybody have that threshold. It comes to a certain point, it's either you go or you still continue to stay. So you have to understand what is your threshold. As far as I'm concerned, I think number one, if you want to get out of your relationship, this relationship or whatever relationship you're in, you have to understand what is your rights, the rights over the children, the house, whatever. Find as much information as you can, and then make your complaint. I mean, like in a Muslim marriage, for example, if the husband doesn't do certain things, you can actually file a complaint. When you file the complaint, then both parties will come. It's a counseling session, and the counselor will tell the husband, okay, your wife has complained against you for this. What do you have to say? And I mean, you have your say. At the end of it, there are actually at least minimum of 6 counseling sessions at the Sharia court before you decide that we are not going anywhere. It's time to just break off the marriage. So usually it is a process. They purposely lengthen the process so that you tire out, and then you just decided, let's get over with, and you know, let's resolve, or let's do something about this relationship, or work it out. So it really depends. But I think if you have had enough and you think you need to get out, create a plan. Create a plan for yourself. Know how you're going to get out of it. Understand your rights. Knowing and whatever documents you need to have, make sure you have them, and then give it your best shot. Because I have had friends who are in a very abusive marriage where they were thoroughly beaten, and she was smart. She actually did her homework, and she knew what she can get out of it, and she did. She was really physically abused by her husband, beaten, kicked, slapped, worse, and that all with the children, and even when she was pregnant. So she knew that she was a smart woman, so she gathered information, and then she knew where everything had to do, and then finally one fine day she just packed her bags and she left, and she felt
That was a courageous move.
she is a very courageous woman. In fact, you know her.
I know who you were talking about. I know her.
Yeah.
And she's living very happily right now.
Yeah. So she made a very good decision, and we've also advised some of our friends that if you want to come out of your relationship, you think it's abusive, and you can no longer tolerate it, then this is what you need to do. Because as a woman, you actually have more rights to the child, the house, whatever, you know, especially when you have children. So a lot of women actually don't know this. They think sometimes the husband will say, oh, you think if you get divorced from me tomorrow, some man is going to come and marry you? Who are you? You're nothing, actually. You're a divorcee with 5 children. Who wants you? They will plant this kind of things into your mind. And
that's why I always say women must look good at all age.
Yeah, of course.
That's where my issue comes in. I said,
And
women,
that's why
don't let go.
men on the edge. Look at Vernon.
See, Manan, I don't know what to say.
I got to read this message, right? Say that there is no common solution to these kind of problems. It depends on every or individual.
Exactly. Yes.
We have to agree to that, right?
Definitely. One solution doesn't apply to every couple. That's what I've been telling just now. Each problem, a couple's problem, has to be dealt differently. We are looking at abuse or violence in a very general term. So each of us out there, we are advising on a very general circumstances, but all relationships are very unique. Like how it was beautiful, they turned up ugly because of certain circumstances. You should know how to handle it. Let's look at it this way. Okay, nothing is a fairy tale in this world. Everything, even the royal family has a family issues. So what are we? What are we? We're just commoners. So handle it. Okay, handle it.
But I think emotional abuse is one of the worst that can ever happen to a woman. It's it's horrible. It's a time bomb. It can be a time bomb. And then it is very destructive because I don't know. I think as a child, if you watch your mother becoming smaller and smaller and deteriorating, I think it's very scary. So,
are you crying now?
No. I'm just reading lots of messages that's coming in. So I'm not sure which one to talk about.
I think women who are in that relationship, they must find counseling. They must find a solution, and they must know where they stand. I mean, if things cannot be communicated, husband and wife, then they should go counseling sessions together, go into a psychiatrist. I mean, in the US, it's very common for couples to go for counseling, to make their relationship. Sometimes people forget why they met, how sweet things used to be, and people don't communicate their expectations, especially in a relationship. So yeah, communication is important, but also depending on the other party, whether the other party is able to accept it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And
what to do WP and what do you call PAP like that lah.
No, we don't want to go there. We don't want to go there. Right? We don't want to go there.
Okay, I think we can call it a day, and then all the comments right can still come in.
I mean, these are the helplines for anybody who needs it. Please, if you do have any concern, you can contact any of us. We can also divert or direct you to where you should go to, because we're not just leaving you there. I mean, Zia is there, Vanita is there, myself, any one of us are just good friends. Anytime, you can just message us.
So Vanita means you'll ask me a one word lah. Is it one time? I'll ask you one time, or is it a
I mean, it should not happen, but if it does happen, I think nobody should remain silent. And I also thank all the viewers being constantly here for the past 1 hour and 30 minutes, even though it's going to be midnight. If I'm going to summarize it, all right. Anyway, these numbers will be posted in our Kopi events messages so that anyone can look into it. But I'm going to summarize it on my view. I think any relationship, I think communication is very crucial. All right. If anybody tends to go, I mean, we all living in the era of stressful situations, work, deadlines, targets, sales, bringing back the food, working different matters, longer hours we work and lesser time will be spent with our families. And this is the kind of life that we are going through. But I think the relationship comes in a matter of communication. I agree with the both of you what you are saying. I think communication is very important, but the moment the communication breaks down, that is where a lot of problems in the pipeline to come up, right? Where stress builds up for a certain point, and then certain doubts that comes again, and then the beautiful relationship that you have started it will turn sour and eventually went into a disaster mode, which eventually will lead to. But communication is very important. Sit down and talk it about it. But if the other party, when we talk about women, we also need to talk about men. I mean, women using abuses on men is also not acceptable at all. I mean, we have to give it the credits to the man, because there are certain cases women uses verbal and physical abuse on men, and men are going through silence as well.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
We are talking with the both, but we are not talking always. We're always talking about women's right, women's empowerment. How about the men? All right. So, regardless the situation, man or woman, there shouldn't be any abuse. There shouldn't be any violences, physical or verbal. Shouldn't. It's zero tolerance. If it happens, like what Vanita said, all right, we agree, Vanita, and now I disagree. Then I'm agreeing back with you. You also did the same thing, Zia as well. But I think you can give one final warning shot. I don't know. I just feel, right, because you don't want straight away and say, "Oh, done." I know. Like Zia have a different view. She said, like, "I'm giving no bullshit. I'm straight to the point. You better know." And they have a relationship and they respect each other. That's fine. But I think certain moment, certain pressure, certain wrong timing, wrong situation, it can trigger. If that happens, you still have the choices, because we humans have choices in our life. We can do whatever we want to. But you might want to give one last final warning and say, one more time, that's it. All right. Of course, you want to keep banging back. I think that's not going to work. That becomes a whole violence. You can start a boxing, a fight club or whatever. But I think respect is given so that you can earn back some back and forth. I think with that, we come to the end of our show. Thank you to the two beautiful ladies, Zia and Vanita. I'm thirsty right now. I already feel discussion. Yeah, now it's chit chat time. We got 2 minutes now. Chit chat time.
Anyway, guys, thank you for having me. It's wonderful to have this topic. I think it's really, really interesting to know. Like Vanita, she says, "Oh, what's the trigger?" Blah blah blah. And I think in a way she is right. Yeah, we all have to access that particular situation. But I think majority, when abuse happens, is usually because of that person's background, how he was raised, and probably not in a very good way lah. So something not to be tolerated.
For me, just ladies out there, there's a lot of help out there. I mean, you are not going to be suffering silently. Please do not be fair to yourself, because the more you love yourself, the more you can love the people around you. This is something I always believe. You have to learn to love yourself more. Enough. There's always a time for you to sacrifice. You're not born to just sacrifice and ruin your own life, your own happiness. Okay. So learn to love. Okay. First, fly. First, love yourself. That's the most important thing. Then you can do the best for your loved ones. It could be your kids, it could be your parents, for your friends, or whoever. Because the moment you put yourself down and allow so much of depression, stress coming onto you, be it your family, be it your work, or your society factors, that's where you're going to be an unhappy person. And you don't want to go into the 6 feet coffin unhappy for the rest of your life.
Well said, Vanita. Well said. Final, but not the last. I think it's all about respect. It's boiled down to respect. It boils down to love. It's about giving in, taking in. I mean, even we're not saying that all women are angels or all men are devils. We are not saying that, right? But there is a mixture of both, right? It's sometimes because of certain pressure, certain financial issues, it can lead to a different way or path that nobody has thought about it. So I think the only way to avoid this is communication. If communication doesn't work, then choices are there to make, right?
Right. I totally agree with that.
Thank you so much, Zia, on a very short period of time to join Kopi with Vance. And I didn't see you drinking Kopi, but
drinking tea.
Tea with Zia.
Tea, Milo, and then coffee. How about that? Wow.
Multiracial, what?
Multiracial, yeah. Thank you so much, ladies. We will stay connected, and I mean, we should aim for another part 2. If our viewers request, then maybe we can even talk about it.
Maybe men will come for abuse. Men
I think we need 2 ladies versus 1 man is tough. But I manage it. Okay, guys.
You're a ladies' man, Vanan. You can handle it.
I'm sure.
Wait.
You might get him into trouble with his wife.
Handle it. You can handle it. You can handle it. Come on. Let's not. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. It's okay. It's okay. You're blushing.
My wife is listening to this. Please,
She's blushing. It's okay. You are a savior to all men, women right now. You become God. Right. You made women feel there is a life there. So it's okay. Thanks for that, for the opportunity. I mean, a man helping the women is something that is a great thing. So thanks, Vanan, for that. So
Thank you.
I mean,
Yes,
I hope
totally
that all men out there should have some good characteristics like this, like, to respect women to another level. I think that's something that I request all men to have. And I wish that especially Indian men, especially to our Indian men.
But
Yes.
but having said that, we can't just we don't want to continue another 1 hour.
No.
but let's not say, because it happens in every area. But sometimes it can often in that particular group,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
we don't
yeah.
want to go there. If not,
Yeah.
we have to create another chat, another group session to come out and discuss about this. Anita,
No, definitely. I'm on for it. Okay.
thank you so
Good
much.
night.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you, Anita.
Good
Okay,
night.
salam. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye-bye, Zia.
Bye.
All right. So thank you so much once again for joining with me. I mean, it's already, wait, let me just check the time. Oh, it's already good morning to everyone. It's always been our pleasure to have interesting topics coming up. As I speak right now, we are already going to have our Zoom collaboration as well. It's going to have a group of invites to come in, so it's more private. We're going to have a lot of discussion, so we will put all the details very soon. For those who are keen, you can actually send a message, and it's more a private discussion. But we are looking at a packs of total of 50 packs that's going to come up in the near couple of months. But again, next week is going to be a different topic with different speakers and with the same hosts. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll catch you again on my next Kopi with Vats. Till then, adios.